Welcome, Stephanie, with Ascend Wealth. Now, we met through networking and we've had a few conversations here and there. And something that continues to come up is that you can help people leverage some funds that maybe they didn't think they could use for real estate or for investing. And I would love to get more information on that so that we can help more people either with their parents or their children, because we've got real estate needs on both sides. And tell us more about how you got into finance and how you got into what you do today.
Oh boy, that was a lot to tell you about. I don't know if we have enough time in just this one podcast, so let me see if I can summarize.
Yes.
And also thank you for the invite. Super excited to be here with you. I have been doing this for about 3 years. Prior to that, actually, I've been a registered nurse for 30 years. So I got into this because I love to help people. And as a registered nurse, I can do a lot, but there's certain things I never really could help people with. And so this is a way that I get to extend my reach, if you will, and help people. And one of the things that really drew me to it is what's referred to as financial literacy, or maybe the flip side of that is that most people are financially illiterate in our country. So, we go to school, we learn all these things that are supposedly so important, but it really doesn't prepare us for life. And so that falls to the parents. And if the parents didn't know, they couldn't teach it. So what I do is I educate people on options, and then I really try to understand their goals. And so then I go and I put together a strategy for them. So there's different ways that strategies can be put together. A lot of people are looking for, how do I grow my money a little bit? Because let's be honest, life is expensive. And so how do I grow it? And how do I grow it in a way that's safe or safer? So most people aren't getting up every morning at 6 or 5 and watching the stock market ticker thing and saying it's gone up, it's gone down. And they're not moving their money every day, or sell this, buy, what is it? You buy low, sell high. Most people don't have the energy to do that. So what are some options for them, I think, is one of the big questions that I hear often.
Yeah.
There's different types of accounts, and so it depends on their goals, what they're trying to accomplish, and then matching that to the types of accounts based on how much money they have to invest. One of my favorite things to do. Go ahead. Yeah.
Some things I've heard from you, and we'll launch into your favorite things. Yes, let's not forget that. I've heard you talk about being able to take entrepreneurs who have not really thought about retirement and create a plan for them so that they can retire, not just hand off the business, but be able to actually walk away from the business and rest. And that's amazing that you can do that. What are some of your other favorite things?
I like to help people. Okay, so spoiler alert. When I was a young adult, a young nurse, I was told, put all your money, everything extra you have into your 401k. That's the best thing you can do, because your money will grow. It'll be there when you retire. I didn't realize, and this is back to that financial literacy or perhaps financial illiteracy, I didn't know that my money was in the stock market. I didn't know that when the stock market dropped, I was going to lose money that I had already earned, or even some of the principal I had put in. It doesn't mean I wouldn't have done the same thing, but I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know that there's options out there that you don't have to watch as closely or worry about, and you still have a retirement that you can lean on.
That's awesome.
And so when I would leave a job, I was like, oh, my 401k, it's there, it's fine. I don't need to, are you going to roll it over? Oh, it's there, it's doing its thing. I don't need to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
And then I have another nurse. I moved around the country a little bit, and a different job, different 401k, put as much in as I can, move on. Nope, just leave it there, leave it there. I didn't even really understand what it meant to roll it over. And then by that time, I was a little embarrassed to even ask the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right? What does that
Yes.
mean? What do I do with it? Now I'm a little bit more mature and I'm thinking, oh, I think I'm supposed to do something with it, but I don't understand what that is. And nobody is
Right.
out there teaching it. So one of my favorite things to do is to talk to someone and oh yeah, I have an old 401k from that job I left 10 years ago. Okay, let's do something with it. Let's put it in an account where it's going to grow interest and no risk of loss, because that's one thing I'm not comfortable with, is putting my money someplace that I could lose it all.
Right. Yeah. And especially when we've had the most chaotic last 5 years.
Yes.
We're not even talking about, back in the day. We're talking about we even just recently. Nothing is for sure. And if you can keep your money safe, then talk to Stephanie because she can help you keep your money safe.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and there's even tax-free options.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wasn't aware of that either. So, but now I am, and so now
Now
I
we
teach
are.
people about it, right? So, oh my gosh, I can grow my money, get interest, and it's all tax-free. I don't have to claim any of it or pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
That means that that nest egg that was only this big means a lot more because you don't have to pay taxes.
Oh, yeah. That's huge. Whether you understand all the words we just said or not, just hearing pre tax and not paying tax is enough reason to say, I think I need a little bit of help, whether that's vocabulary or strategy. And just Stephanie is a great place to get started and come in and say, I got a fifth grade education in finance because that's what most of us have,
Yes.
right? We've got You might have multiple degrees and you might just have a high school diploma, but most of us, if we didn't go into finance, we have about a fifth grade education, or we just have what our parents passed down. And that can vary so widely. And some parents knew a lot, but then didn't say a lot. Some
Right.
parents didn't know much and they passed down everything they have. So we're all kind of in different struggle seasons, but we're all there.
Yes. Yeah,
Sorry. Big
absolutely.
summary there.
Well,
So
it's so
as it relates
true.
to yes, it is true. Right, because I love my first time home buyers, but I also love my sellers who have owned their home for 15, 20, 30 years. But we all, when it comes to real estate purchases, we all have some finance questions because the world keeps on changing and real estate changes and our tax options change. And then, like you said, our strategies also need to change because our goals are different. That first time home buyer has completely different goals than my 65-year-old seller.
Yes.
And what are we doing? So don't ask me. Ask Stephanie. Much easier. So we had talked about this, doing this podcast to talk about how we can help our young adult generation get into housing. And especially for my friends who have old 401ks or IRAs and many other places where they've been putting money aside. But now we have our 20-year-olds and our 25-year-olds who are struggling to make enough rent to qualify on their own, or struggling to get into the income that would qualify for renting and for, or even just purchasing a small studio, not great area place. And as a parent, you have opportunities to help. Would you tell us a few options? What could we do to assist our young adults in getting them a down payment, or maybe not being a co-signer, but maybe buying an investment property? How do we do that?
Yeah. So if we have the money, that's the easy answer, right? One of the things that's really not on everybody's radar a lot of times when you think about buying property is you can take out a loan and the interest is a tax deduction, right?
That's huge. Oh my gosh.
Ideally, the young person is going to help make the payments, so it's not dependent upon the parent to make all those mortgage payments. But if the mortgage is in the parent's name or if there are co-signers on it, then that's a tax deduction, which puts more money in your hands when you have that. So then you can make some other choices. The other thing that people can do, so people can also access their retirement accounts to be able to put a down payment on a home. And the other thing that people don't think about are life insurance policies that have a cash value. So those, they can also access that cash value. Here's the trick. You call it a loan when you take it out. You don't just withdraw it. And when you call it a loan, you continue to earn interest as if you never took the money out. So yeah, pretty slick. And so that can also be used. You can also use the cash value in a whole, like a whole or an IUL type life insurance policy. So there's different ones, but as collateral to get that loan for the mortgage. And so that's really kind of working all the angles, because now you're using it as collateral, but you're not taking it out of the life insurance policy. So you're taking it out as a loan, and it's a tax deduction because it's a loan. So you have that mortgage loan interest that you get to deduct.
That's fantastic. Now, I know that once you've got the money, whether you've withdrawn it from life insurance or you're utilizing a retirement account, then connect with a really smart lender and get into a DSCR loan so that it's an investment property, and you can work out how much your child pays because they're renting from you. And it only has to be $1 more than your mortgage, right? When we have the capability as an older generation to put down a large down payment and get that mortgage down to something we're comfortable with, the lenders can work their magic and find a great way for this to really, really work for our younger people, that is an actual mortgage that they can pay. And then come back to Stephanie and talk about taxes. Make sure it works.
Yeah. And then we need to set up a trust so that everybody gets what they want without it having to go through probate. We can record the properties as part of the trust, and then the trust directs what happens.
And trusts are so important when we're dealing with investment properties that are intended to benefit somebody else. And so whether you're buying an investment property and just using it as a rental or a second home or lake cabin, should consider putting that in a trust anyway, because then you eliminate the fighting. And let's save our children from future fighting by taking care of it now.
Right. Yeah. And you actually, the properties get recorded as part of the trust when you do that. So it takes a few minutes of meeting with an attorney, and it takes a little extra time then to get the properties recorded. But yeah, absolutely. It avoids probate. It's because it's all taken care of in advance. So that's a really solid way to plan for your future and your kids' future.
Now, I kind of popped this question on you a while ago, so I wrote it down, but I don't think we've talked about it since. So we may have to cut this if this is too much of a pop quiz.
That's okay. I'm ready. Let's go.
You're ready. Okay. What can we do with a 529 plan if our kids didn't go to college? Can we use that for something else?
It can be used for some things like purchasing a computer, because then that could support college or learning. It doesn't have to be like a 4-year university. It could be a trade school. It could be, different types of training for a job. Those are the ones that I'm the most familiar with.
Okay.
I have to admit that I don't think I love the 529 plan. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a pretty good deal. I consider that for my own kids. But again, there's other options out there that don't limit the use of the money. So don't specify that it has to be used for school or education or that type of thing.
What are some other options? If I've got listeners with little kids and they haven't started yet, is there another way they could save for their future?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I should have fed you that question in advance, and I didn't. So sorry for that just made me very, very happy. So the best plan that I see for children is one of those life insurance policies with the cash value. The reason for that is when they're children, and the younger the better. Now, I did say, children, they can be babies, but they have to be at least 2 weeks old. Okay. So the cost of the insurance is very, very low because they have no medical conditions, nothing wrong with them yet, right? But as we age now, of course, I'm only 29, but I've been a nurse for 30 years. We can do the math. But anyway, so the younger you are, the less the insurance costs. And because it's a high cash value type of account, you can put more money into it than the cost of the insurance. And that's what really grows. And it
Okay.
grows and there's no risk of loss and it's not taxable. So all of that interest becomes down payment or purchase their first car. It is paying tuition for college. It is the down payment on that for their first home as a first time home buyer. And it ultimately becomes an income stream for them in their retirement. If one is set up when a child is very young, there will be over $1 million that they can access by the time they're retiring, which is
Amazing.
much better than a lot of people that are saying, "Oh yeah, I have a 401k with, but there's not that much money in it, and we're trying to
Yeah.
grow it really fast."
Yeah.
So a cash value insurance policy can do that.
Amazing.
There's a couple different companies. I actually work with a lot of different companies for providing insurance if anyone is interested. But there's a couple different types of policies that really grow well. One of them is called an indexed universal life, and the other one is a whole life but they have to be properly structured. So again, understanding the goal
Yeah.
is the most important thing. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's multiple goals.
Especially when 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we were all thinking our kids are going to college, our kids are going to college, and the world has shifted and it will do that again. So whether or
Yes.
not you've got a 15-year-old or a 5-year-old, you may want to be a little bit flexible about where your money's going so that you can use it for what the kid actually wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually just spoke with a family earlier today and they were shifting money from where they had been putting it into an account that was a lot more flexible for children. Actually, they were doing it for grandchildren. It was very exciting. So
That is
exciting.
very exciting. Very
Yeah, yeah,
exciting.
yeah. That's the best is when I have grandparents that are like, I want to set it up for my grandchild. I'm like, yes, let's do this. Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like a good plan. Now we haven't gone into IRAs yet. So could you walk us through how could we use an IRA to purchase real estate, to purchase an investment property? How could we properly do that? And what do we need to know before we call you?
Yeah, so an IRA tends to follow the exact same rules as a 401k.
Okay.
So for a traditional IRA does. So a Roth is a little bit different, but either way, there's still allowable amount of funds that can be pulled out for real estate purchase. That is one of the allowable ones.
Okay.
Um, yeah, you always want to double check on how what the fine writing is in the contract because there can be some unique deviations or variances from plan to plan. But basically,
That's
it
something
follows.
you're well versed in. Are you really familiar with these contracts and which phrases to look for?
I can help somebody read through it. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
and then the other thing to remember though is when you take money out, if it doesn't meet the criteria, then you're paying your taxes on it because you put all your money in pre-tax. And if you're less than 59 and a half, you have to pay that 10% IRS penalty. So it
So
doesn't mean
there's
you
lots
can't
of
get
things
your
to
money, but
consider.
sometimes there's extra money that it costs you to pull.
It's good to know because then we have to take the whole picture. It's not just there's this money in a piggy bank. I'm going to go use it now. But whoa, walk us through the potential penalties and the potential downsides of I think I have money, but maybe I don't.
Yeah, so if you take the money out, withhold it, they typically withhold your taxes. So you don't have to worry about that. And whether and I mean, I know that we're here currently in the state of Washington, but I work with people all over the country. So if their state income tax, they'll withhold that as well. What they
Okay.
don't withhold is that 10% penalty. And this is
Mm,
what catches people by surprise. So you say, oh, I want to take out $50,000. They withhold the taxes. Now I have this much money. Great. You spend it. But next year, when you do your taxes, that's when the 10% penalty is due.
boy.
And I've
Yeah.
talked to a lot of people that thought because money was withheld, they thought that 10% penalty was withheld also. So they were scrambling at the time the taxes were due because then they had to basically pay that 10% penalty at that time next year, right? When you do your taxes.
Yeah. Are there any tips that you would have for older adults, maybe like my parents? They have reached their retirement age. It's time to downsize. Should we be looking at our 401ks or their IRAs to help sell the house, to help do the repairs on the house? Can we utilize those funds for that kind of work?
So if they're retirement age, that they can, if they're over 59 and a half, they can take out whatever they want to. So it doesn't dictate what they're going to spend the money on.
Good.
Yeah.
Because those houses usually need more than your average repairs. There's usually
Yeah.
a plenty of deferred maintenance. You're going to be talking about not just new flooring and paint, but new roof, new siding, new windows, and almost like a remodel, except not.
Yeah. And then by the time they do that, then they're like, I want to stay here now.
Yes, exactly. And then health issues will decide that for you. But yes, you enjoy the house now. It's all
Right.
fixed up,
Yeah.
as most of us do. Awesome. Is there anything else that you think homeowners or home buyers should know before they come talk to you with their investment in mind?
I'm going to go back to just the basics and financial literacy. So I think being as open and honest up front gets you where you need to be faster. I have no qualms with spending hours and hours and hours with a person or a family trying to really get to know them, to understand their goals, to be able to help them with the strategy, because that is my goal, is to meet their goals, right? And a lot of people are uncomfortable sharing some of their deepest, darkest secrets. My credit cards, I owe this much on this, and this is,
Yeah.
my car payment is this, and I only make this amount, whatever that is. So being very open and honest up front, it just gets us there faster. But I'm in it for the long haul. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to keep talking and keep figuring it out and keep coming back with, okay, well, we could do this. And you say, oh, well, actually, I have a little bit more. Okay, great. Let me go back to the drawing board and I'll pull, let's connect again tomorrow.
Yes.
And then things change, right? People's lives change. Children are born, grandchildren are born, somebody gets married. All of those things change goals as well. So just because we do a strategy today doesn't mean that it fits you next year or in 5 years or in 10 years. So we keep redoing to meet the goals.
Right. Because your first goal might be, I want to live comfortably within my paycheck and yet know I'm saving. How
Yes.
can both things happen? Because sometimes that is the first difficulty of young adults. I need to have money to live, but my parents told me I have to save. How do you make it happen? And you would be part of that solution.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, before we go, I was thinking that there's so many other things that you do. And you're just so invested in people. But sometimes I feel like, especially if you've never worked with a lender before, you've never worked with a financial coach or someone like Stephanie that can help your investments grow, people need to hear that from Stephanie's angle and from my angle, there's literally no shame in the story you're telling. We don't hear that because we do this all the time. And so we hear tons of scenarios, and yours may not be the worst one that we've heard that day or that week. So just bring us the story, and you don't have to worry about our judgment or the lender's judgment or anyone else, because we literally suspend judgment. These are just stories, and it's your story, and we're invested in your success. So when you come and see Stephanie or me or any of my lender partners, we're just here to make you the best you can be. And Stephanie's already said all that. So hope you're feeling it when you
I
listen.
love the way you put that. That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let's not bring credit card shame. Let's just bring the credit card story. It just is what it is. We don't have to attach any extra to that. Just is.
Yeah. And a lot of people think that you have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars before you can, talk to me, or before you can even go to a lender to but if you don't start the conversation wherever you're at, you'll never have a plan to get there. So it doesn't take much to get started. I mean, I think that's important for people to know too.
Well,
You don't
let's
have
ask that question then. When would you like them to call you?
well, usually between 2 and 4 in the morning, I will not answer the phone.
Good to know.
Yeah, as soon as you have 30 minutes,
So
because
30 minutes and
yeah.
$100,
Oh, I hate to say this, but
maybe a little more.
I actually I don't charge for my services. So if you have $100 a month that you can set aside to save,
Hmm.
then we can probably start to put something together. $200 a month is a little bit better, but and some of it is age dependent and how
Yeah.
long your horizon is, right? Somebody that needs money tomorrow, that's going to be a little bit trickier if you only have $100 today. But if
Hmm.
you've got 10 years for it to grow, if you're a young adult and thinking, I've just started working, I'm going to save a little bit now, and maybe in a few years I'll find Mr. or Mrs. Right, and we'll be looking for a house. Yeah. So we definitely can start talking and building and planning something together. Yep.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much for being here, Stephanie. This was a really fun and educational podcast. So thank you for being here. And we will have all of Stephanie's contact information in the comments below. So reach out to Stephanie as soon as you have 30 minutes and an idea of, I have a goal. I think I know what I want to do. So thank you for being here today on Real Life and Real Estate.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.